right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 2 all afternoon. Brian Hayes, Theo Doug, Jeff O'Neill, and Carol Waglin in studio.
What's up, guys?
How are we feeling this afternoon?
I don't know how
I have a
feel.
question for you,
no.
Hazy B. I have a question. Are you using filters on some of your work?
What?
This guy is doctoring up photos. Joe from the Bridge, can you please plop it up so Kara can have a peek?
What are we looking
Because
about?
this guy, like, that's not his face. He looks like somebody in a boy band or something.
I mean, okay. There's a number of things you've done here.
There's a lot. There's a lot of
Slim
things
the
that are.
jawline, which did not work because you got to slim the whole head. Because look at that melon now. You also look like you took about 15 years off.
Yeah, so let's explain it, all
No,
right?
it's just like, why are you doctoring? Do we all get to
think-
doctor?
do you think
we
I-
all get to doctor it up?
Do you think I personally went in the lab and doctored that
You
up?
had to approve it.
I
No
absolutely
one can use your
approved
name
that.
or likeness without you approving that.
I approved it happily. I was so happy. So I started doing a weekly bit on Jay last night where, Harvey's is a title sponsor and it's a Harvey's hot take thing. And I'm going to do 3 takes a week and I'm going to have a conversation with Jay. Can I point out, Jay looks spectacular as well.
He
in the
always
picture.
does. I saw him
He
in
looks
real life.
like himself.
Yeah, he does. Well, the picture that was used, again, I didn't have anything to do with this.
Yeah, you did, because you can't use someone's name or likeness without them approving it.
Well, I approved it. That's separate. I wasn't the one saying, give me a week, I'll get back to you with the
Let me
picture that
work
I'm
on the
looking
photo.
for. Because it's not my body. I have no idea whose body that is.
Dude, it looks like you're 17, and then your head starts growing out like an alien.
I know, but it's a great jawline. I have like a 5 o'clock shadow. My hair looks actually really good in that picture. And I have a lot of hair, but it's bad hair. It's hair that kind of doesn't do what it's supposed to do. And it's just what they use. I don't know. That's the image that they're going to use for the bit. And I don't want them to ever change it. That is me now.
Put it up again.
Whenever
Joe.
I'm
Yeah,
on
let's
with,
see
Put
this
it up
one more
again.
time.
I just want to see. Like, I'm going to have to, just anyone's going to see this and be like, that is not that guy's head.
well,
it is not his head.
Like it's 95% me. How much of a percentage of me do you see in that picture? Like
Only your eyes. I
30,
swear to God,
30%.
only your eyes. The hair, it looks like you have Leonardo DiCaprio's hair. Brad Pitt's jawline. You have no cheek. You're a cheek guy.
Yeah.
You have no cheeks,
I
and
know.
those are just your eyes. That's it.
I will say
Like,
that.
what's with the shaded Brad Pitt beard? It's
I know.
I will say that is your mic hold, though. You have a terrible mic hold, and that is your mic hold.
So my eyes and the mic hold. That's the. So you think
That's
if
it.
you showed that picture to my mom, she'd be like, I don't know who that is.
I think from nose to mid
no,
forehead
it's
is
Tara.
you.
It's only his eyes.
No, that's my
it.
nose too.
But,
Although
like,
it's straightened a little bit. I have kind of a.
So whoever did that
crooked-
pic said, "I'm going to put a Brad Pitt beard on this cat."
My
to
side.
go right to me when my mouth is open and I look like a buffoon staring at the picture. That's unnecessary. But if you want to do a side by side, Joe from the Bridge, take a pic. Tell me when you want me to look into the camera, and you can do a side by side, and we
And
can
we'll-
break
and
No,
that
we
just-
down.
can,
All
and then we
right?
break it
can take a
down.
look at it. It's like they did one of those if these two people had a baby things, and they overlaid multiple faces. That's what
Right.
that looks like.
With really good looking people.
Yes.
And then I'm kind of dragging it
Yes.
back down. But that's what people were texting me and sending me notes being like I'm married with children, I'm not in a game, but if I threw that thing up on a dating site, there'd be a lot of swipe right.
Dude, you'd
Kara?
I
Like,
mean,
you-
I
yeah,
wouldn't.
Break-
I
you'd
would
break
not
Tinder.
swipe
I
right
think I'd
because
break Tinder.
you look 12.
I do not
So
look
if
12.
people are, yes, you do. You look 12 years old.
I don't think so. That's
I would.
because of the mic
That is
hold.
the only reason that most people would not swipe right.
Dude,
I
I
don't-
think if you were in the game, you could put that pic on a business card and just slide it over and say, "I'm an artiste."
Right. Drinks later? And
I'm
think
an
I'd bat-
artiste.
I think I'd bat 1,000. I think I'd bat 1,000.
You would be crushing.
I think I'd be Doug Gilmore in 93.
More. I have my own show, and I'm an artiste.
Yes, I agree with you. I think I'd be Matthews. I'd be Dougie in 93. Go across the board.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Bar game
Oh my
through
gosh.
the roof.
I agree. It's a great, and it has to stay now. It has to stay. It's week 1 of this new
Dude, I will
bit that I'm
punch you
doing
right
with Jay.
between the eyes if I see that as your Twitter profile pic or something.
I'll put it up.
No,
I'll
no
put that
way,
up. I'll
no way.
post it.
I still-
And then if you do one on top of that, if you hashtag it new profile pic, I'll go.
that's
I-
the worst.
I'm gonna-
worst.
I'll
That's
do
the
it on-
worst.
I'll do it on the break. I'll leave the Twitter. I posted it on Instagram because of the takes, But it's up there at B Hayes on Air on Instagram. You can find it. I'll post it on Twitter. It's out there. Doogie, you can post it. Get people talking. Get people buzzing.
If I'm you, I'm pushing.
Get people talking.
I'm pushing for the
talking.
Raptors photo. That photo that you got from last year when you and Noodles were at the Raptors game.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
God,
like-
it's so disgusting.
That is the best photo I've ever seen taken of anybody in life.
Thank you. And that was a live shot. That
And
was
he
not.
is
I was sitting
doing
courtside.
the
But that was
smize
like-
into
it was the
cam-
smize.
It
Yes,
was.
the
It was
smolder
Tyra
into the
Banks
camera.
smize into the camera.
No.
And it was
Blue
like they
steel
were
right in the
goofing on
camera.
me not being there, and I wanted to sucker you right between the eyes
Well,
there as well.
Let's clarify something. That was completely organic and natural.
I don't believe
didn't-
it because you look dead into the soul of that camera.
The camera's right in front of me walking across. What makes me stick out is that Noodles is so awkward in the video.
He is really
Noodles
But
is
you were
like,
looking in the camera like you were just about to
for an
say,
extended period.
"Thank you,
of time.
Doug." Thank you, Doug.
I was intensely staring at the camera. Joe, grab that
For
clip,
way
too.
too long.
It was uncomfortable.
A
Thank you,
glance,
Doug. Thank you, Doug.
a glance would have been normal, but the long and you follow the camera as it trucks.
Okay, here's what disappoints me about the two of you. You're both in TV. All right. When now I don't know if you guys are courtside familiar with how it works on TV.
Oh, God.
But Noodles and I were sitting courtside. The camera comes by. There's an understanding that they're going to take the shot, send it back to the truck. I don't know what they're going to use. How would I know that they're going to play the whole thing in slow motion of me romantically staring into the camera?
Dude, you can
Fake
explain,
How would I
it.
know
You can
that?
explain it any way you want. You knew what you were damn doing, and
Yeah.
you did it, and you pulled it off. That's the end of the story.
If I'm, and,
I love
and
the way he says, "I don't know which part they're going to use."
I'm not in control, just like with the
no,
picture.
but you were in control of giving them the best stuff you got.
I did. It was my A game.
It was.
I'll grant you that. It was. I had a butter jacket on. It was a really good look.
It
Thank you,
was a
Doug.
good time.
I don't know
Thank
how
you,
you,
It was a good
Thank you,
time.
Doug.
how you get that level of control because every time a promo or a news release or anything is put out involving me, they're still using a headshot from like 8 years ago that I've been trying to get just flushed from
All
the
right.
entire company.
Well, leave it to me. I'll see if
No.
I can get something done.
Just be thankful because
They used some pictures of us.
yo,
Like,
I had to use the one because if they had one, like I did some promo shoot in September, and I saw the the evidence. I went back to the guy's screen, and I looked like an absolute moose. And I said to the guy, "You got to delete this garbage." ASAP, and I never want. It's like I had a triple neck, and he had this weird angle,
I know.
But
and
I
I just said never again.
Is that the
angles are
day I
bad.
saw you that day? You literally walked in. Someone else was in the middle of their shoot, and you're like, no, I need to jump in for a second. You took 5 seconds, 3 shots, we're done.
Yes.
That's it.
But that's why you get a bad shot.
I've told him that. You're like Krusty the Clown. You go in there, you do it in 30 seconds, and you leave. I've told you got to get the angles right, and you got to
Give
make
yourself
sure
a
you're
minute to warm
giving
up.
a
Dude,
different
The
profile.
only way that guy could have got the angle right is if he climbed up on the roof and shot straight down. Any kind of level shot or upwards, it was like my neck was popping out of my suit, and I started sweating, and I had to get out. I have to get out of here.
I saw that reminds me of something I saw over the break. There was a comedian that was posting something on Instagram or TikTok about how like bigger guys when they FaceTime the
You gotta hold it up high. It's true.
they hold it like above their head. Oh man, it's so good. Yeah, we got to. Okay, well, send it to me. Get some new pics. I'll filter it through my people.
Okay,
And
we'll
I'll
put
have
it in your
there-
contract.
See there, I can. That's natural. That was at the Raptors.
That is
game.
not natural.
Dude, that is-
It's not doctored. That's
That is-
me. That's
Okay,
me.
it may
That's-
not, but they put the nice filter on the camera. For
There's
you.
no
That is like the
There is
first
a
time you
filter
met
on that
Erin, and
camera.
she's across the court, and you are
Yeah.
just staring her down.
That was New Year's '08 across the kitchen at a party. I'm like, who is that girl? I got to go talk to her.
I got to marry that girl. Look deep into my eyes.
Yeah, and I guess it worked, right? It
gosh.
worked, and it worked that night. But Noodles is what props me up, right? Like he was the straight man. Noodles was incredibly awkward during that video. You've seen it. Like he doesn't know what he's supposed to do.
I know. He was like that weird brother at Wedding Crashers where he goes like,
Avoiding the
started
camera
looking
at all
He
costs.
started looking at his phone.
Yeah, he had it. I don't know what his story was, man.
It is
but
awkward though
it
when
was
you know
wild.
the camera is literally 3 feet in
But
front of you.
That's a professional, Kara. Look at Noodles. That's 2 different shots, 2 different views. I haven't moved a muscle. I am staring at that thing, thinking it's going to be a still shot. And I'm like, I want to make sure this looks
But
all
they
right.
also, okay, so
Courtside.
you don't think there's a filter on this. There is a filter on this camera. They have the portrait filter on.
Yes,
That's why
No.
this looks a little bit fuzzy.
No.
And you are crisp in the middle of
I
that
look
portrait.
at your ugly face
That's
a
me.
lot, and your face in real life does not look like that.
That is me.
They were doing you a solid from the Raptors truck there.
Well, then I appreciate that. And shout out to them. Shout out. That was Nick Nurse still. Nick Nurse was across the floor doing his thing. And Nick got clipped. I saw it was a Wolstat that tweeted out. And it was COVID rules and masking and all that. But I guess Nick at one point got fined like $50,000 for taking his mask off and throwing it and yelling. Remember that during the COVID bubble?
that.
$50,000 for that.
Wow.
And the fine is in. Darko fined $25,000 for his rant a couple of nights ago. And
Fred got 30
Fred got 30, and
for
Fred,
criticizing the same ref.
the same guy, Ben Taylor, he actually, I believe, named him
Oh,
personally,
he did.
though.
Yeah.
Where Darko had an issue with everyone collectively.
But after Fred had his episode with that ref, don't you think the league would look at that and just go over some, mapping out of the games and say, just keep that guy away from the refs?
Well,
Why not?
But then you set a precedent that if you're going to do that for that team, then, whatever ref the Knicks don't like, they're going to put in for that ref to not be on their games. You can't set a
that's
precedent
the
like
issue.
that.
And the league isn't going to do that because then what they're essentially saying is, yes, that guy's got a
They're
bias.
admitting.
Or we have an issue with him as well.
I get it, but my point is, if avoidable, like if you can do it, avoid it.
I hear you. Who's the ref that Chris Paul has all the history
Oh, he
with?
hates that guy's
Oh,
nuts.
yeah.
What's his name? Look that up, Doogie. It just happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
He got tossed again.
He's got a really. I didn't
Scott
see that
Foster,
one.
that was
That's
it.
it. Yeah,
Scott Foster,
It happened
yeah.
earlier in the season where
Right.
he got tossed.
Yeah, I guess that's the one I'm
Oh
talking
my
about.
gosh, yeah, that's a long-standing. I feel like that's across a number of leagues, though. Every league kind of has, like in baseball, it's Angel Hernandez. Like there's a few different officials in every league where all the players kind of know it's going to be a night when this guy's playing, especially if
Right.
that's that guy and that player.
Well, and the thing though about officiating is there's always a team on the other side of it then that is happy with that.
Sure.
Like if you're a Laker fan on Tuesday night, you love Ben Taylor. What a great officiating job. Like we always lose sight of that is obviously if you're a Raptor fan, you think it's rigged, it's against you, you can't keep up with these guys because we're the Raptors, they're the Lakers. But if you're a Laker fan, you're like, I don't
You love
care
it.
about you. What is? Yeah, exactly. That's we're just doing our thing, and we're going to continue with our business here. And last night you have Siakam as a late scratch, and he's out, and Pirtle's out. It's a back-to-back, and
Coming
they
off
battled.
an emotional game like that against the
Exactly.
Lakers, that's tough to rebound from.
Eerily similar game through three quarters.
Yeah.
Like just lead changes galore.
Siakam injured?
Siakam back
Back
spasms.
spasms.
He's going to play again, I would assume, on the trip. But he was out last night, and they got to the fourth quarter, they ran out of gas, and they ended up losing that game last night.
Maybe they just hold him out and say, you're not playing again until we gas you.
It is an interesting question, like if they're committed to trading him.
Yeah.
Because there was reports when they went out there that teams in the West are heating up in Siakam talks. I didn't think he'd be coming home.
Yeah. Well, it's
I mean,
a good
anything could
question.
still
Like-
happen, though. I could see them extending him too. They have to pick a side before the trade deadline, though. They can't let it go past the deadline because then they lose all leverage. But
right. Well,
I don't.
Do you see any circumstances where they extend him? I don't.
I think they should move on him if they're committed to a completely new feel, a new era. Like basically, they just got to rip the Band-Aid off, and it's a new coach, it's a new core. The championship era outside of the front office is officially behind us, and we're going to start anew. And I think Siakam obviously has a big voice in that room. He's still their best player, as well as Scotty's been playing. Scotty could make that case.
Sure.
You can make your choice who you think is more effective on any given night. But the plays are going to go through him. He's going to have a lot of say on what happens with the team at practice in terms of how they operate, their culture, intensity, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not suggesting that he's not doing that in a proper fashion, but having him there, naturally people are going to be attracted to that. So I do wonder if they're really trying to turn over the page, that's going to lead to a change more than anything else. Stylistically, how they plan on winning, how quickly they want to win. Because if they're in it to win it, you probably keep Siakam. Like more than likely, if you want
If
to
they're
put
looking to
forth
make
the
noise,
best
yeah.
team possible over the next few years, you're going to keep Pascal because you may not be able to win that trade bringing in new pieces. But like you see Golden State last night, the Pelicans beat them 141-105.
Dude,
They were
times
getting
change,
booed.
man. They're getting booed
getting
off the
booed.
court.
And
Yeah.
everyone allegedly or reportedly is available outside of Steph. There is talk that maybe Siakam could end up there, but It's interesting timing with Belichick in New England. Like the ultimate sign of respect is when it's described as mutually parting ways.
Sure.
You got fired.
How
But
mutual was it?
Mutually parting ways. I think the same thing with Pete Carroll yesterday. It's mutually, he's going to become an advisor now. I don't think they wanted him coaching anymore.
But didn't you feel like with Bill, like yesterday, Bill had just come out in the media and admitted, which was very un-Belichick-like of him, that he was willing to take a reduced role and give up the reins a little bit on the GM duties and the personnel moves and things like that. For him to come out publicly and say, I'll take a reduced role if that's what they need me to do here. And then 24 hours later, we're parting ways.
Waggy, I think Billy Belichick.
That's a little bit of a slight on Belichick.
I think Billy Belichick, something similar to what happened here. I think he's got something cooking already, and he had something, and he said it's time to go. You don't think the Chargers are looking at old Billy Boy saying, why don't you come out here and try to get us?
Can you picture him in L.A.?
Well,
Dude,
he's the thing, though.
Why not? Right off into the sunset in Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
he's got ties to California.
He's a gritty, hoodie-wearing coach.
So what does that mean? He's got to either go to Baltimore or Pittsburgh or
grind
Cleveland or no.
I don't know, man.
You just saying that because of what you've seen the last 20
I guess so.
years.
I mean, 24 years, but prior to that, he was in Cleveland and New York.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's when I think of Bill Belichick, I think of the Northeast, the grittiness, weather, defense. It's just such a change of pace for him to go to LA. Same thing with Atlanta. There's reports that he might go to the Falcons. That would be the strangest vibe
Well, and
ever.
why would he go there? It
He's
doesn't
in a
make sense for
dome.
him.
Well, like they think they have
They have
offensive pieces there in
but are they
Atlanta.
really that close?
Listen, it would be kind of following in the footsteps of Tom Brady. You go to the NFC South, you get a team that maybe feels like they're just
Go to a weak
underperforming
division.
because they don't have the coach. The division can be up for grabs.
I don't know.
It's possible.
There's some rumblings out there. Schefter's been alluding to some stuff that there might be another team that is a front runner for Belichick that has not fired their head coach yet. And so it's not known that they're a contender for Belichick. So it's going to get real interesting over the next few days.
Do you think it's Dallas that he's talking about?
I'm not saying it's Dallas. I don't know who it is, but everyone's like, okay, is he going to go to the Chargers? Now, Jim Harbaugh is a favorite to go to the Chargers. So maybe that's where that's going to end up. Is he going to go to Atlanta?
I
Can't
have
see
seen
him
that
going to
report
Washington.
too, that basically Harbaugh to the Chargers is almost like basically done.
It's close.
I think
it seems.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he wants a job, Harbaugh is going to be sought after and should be. Everywhere he goes, he wins. Prior to him going to college, he won a lot in San Francisco. So I think he'd have the pick of the litter over Belichick because Belichick, what an incredible run. Like 24 years, all those Super Bowls.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that statement. Jim Harbaugh would have the pick of the litter over Bill Belichick. You don't think owners have been watching that guy win all those Super Bowls? Although Tom Brady was the X factor there, where it's like you can never have that a part of the equation as well. But you don't think they saw the winning and the consistency, and they've been dying for that? Harbaugh's been at Michigan. He won a national championship. That's great. But I think to say that Harbaugh over Billy Belichick right now, I don't agree with that comment. Waggy?
I don't know that I would say Harbaugh over Belichick just because of his proven track record in the NFL, but Bill has proven over the last couple of years he's also not been very adaptable to the newer ways, especially offensively in the NFL. Like great defensive mind, unbelievable coach, but the Patriot way isn't exactly the popular way with players anymore.
Well, what's he supposed to do with the Patriot way with Mac Jones? That guy stinks.
Well, but that's the problem is you hear guys from those Patriot Dynasty times like Danny Amendola coming out and saying, well, yeah, we worked for Bill, but we played for Tom. It's one thing to get a bunch of guys to buy in on how much harder you have to grind to be a New England Patriot when Tom Brady is leading the charge there. But when all of a sudden you don't have a Tom Brady, with this current crop of players in the NFL, seems to be a lot more divas. People aren't really working the way that they do back in those days. How do you convince guys to want to come on board and have to grind harder, put their body through more because that's what Bill Belichick wants to do? It's tough to convince guys to do that. I don't know that Bill is adapting as quickly as the game needs him to right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Meanwhile, though, their defense was a top 10 defense.
They
in
still had a
football.
great defense.
They're still relatively a disciplined team. I think he made some really poor hiring decisions there too. He kept being loyal to his people and filtering through the same people. And I think if you're Robert Kraft in New England, I personally think they got to get as far away from the Bill Belichick era as possible now. Like once it's over, you don't just hand it to Gerard Mayo or whoever,
Mike
Bill
Vrabel
O'Brien or
is-
Mike Vrabel. Mike
Yeah.
Vrabel it came from the Belichick
Yeah.
world. He didn't coach under him, but he played under him. Mike Vrabel's going to come in with a very similar approach to football that Bill Belichick did. I would, if I'm Robert Kraft, I'm looking at this saying we just had the 24 greatest years ever, but Bill's gone, Brady's gone. Let's completely reset.
Go a different way.
And yeah, coach the game differently, build personnel differently. And that's why, again, Harbaugh, I think, represents more of a progressive nature to the sport, more offensively inclined. He played quarterback himself. Where Bill, he's still defensively minded and old school, and he's going to have suitors naturally. And
We'll ask
so
Luke at
will
5
Harbaugh.
o'clock. We'll ask Luke at 5 o'clock. Who would be in more demand right now, Billy or Jimmy?
Yeah, we could throw Pete Carroll in that mix too.
Oh, yeah.
Like Pete
Sure.
Carroll, he's an advisor, but if he wants to coach again, he could coach again.
No
You think
kidding.
he'll
You
go
guys just
elsewhere?
mentioned the idea of mutually parting ways. And as old as he is, someone's going to toss a bunch of money at him and say, "Do you want to go run this program for 5 years?"
Absolutely.
And he's probably going to say yes.
Well, it was very interesting in his outgoing press conference. One of the things he made a point of saying is how great he feels. And how he, at this point in the season, usually you're run down and you're tired. He's like, I don't feel like that at all. I got
You don't
lots
think
of
that
energy.
was a little
It was
bit of
almost
sending a
as though
vibe
he
out?
was sending a message,
Who?
maybe.
Carroll or
Pete
Yeah.
Carroll.
Yeah, okay, Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I feel amazing.
Yeah.
That's a vibe. That's sending out a vibe saying, "Don't think I'm old and haggard and feeling run down. I'm ready to rock."
Then someone should hire him. I would think there'd be people that would be looking to do that.
Yeah.
For sure. There's a lot of
There's a
vacancies
lot
in
of
the NFL. There's like 8 vacancies in the NFL. All right, Luke Wilson coming up. I think we're going to do the picks today. Does it feel like a picks day today, or should we can do the picks today, tomorrow? Feels
Tomorrow
like today.
we got to do the picks.
Oh, we got Al's brother who's ready to rock today.
He's here.
The lines are kind of set. I don't know. I mean, it might be something we want. I think we might do the picks today.
I vote today because I'm here, and that would be fun.
Okay.
But
You got to talk to your guy and make sure you guys are all on the same page.
I'm going to show you something in commercial, the new championship hoodie, and you're going to love it. Doogie, I
Okay.
want your comment after the break as well.
All right, Doogie with a full breakdown. Carol Waglin's in here. The O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill. I'm Brian Hayes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
So Team Owen Wilson, we might get into the merch game. We had a moment that was very, very critical in our turnaround, and it was a simple handshake with Doogie and my main man, Luke Wilson. And I just want to throw this out there. Get your thoughts, Hayes, Kara, and Doogie, on this potential hoodie. And just throw it out there, Doogie, to see if the fans of Owen Wilson might want this hoodie. Because I'm going to get one for myself, my partsy. Doogie, maybe you want one. JP, I don't know. I mean, this could take off like wildfire. Because that moment right there where Luke shoved $1,000 in Doogie's pocket and Doogie is looking at him like he's like Andre the Giant.
Honestly, that's like meeting Hulk Hogan in 1985.
right?
Like that was me as a kid being like, wow, the Hulkster.
Yeah, he's gigantic. Doogie,
Yeah.
do you like the hoodie? Would you want one?
I absolutely love it.
Well, I would
I think
hope
I
so.
might take one.
It needs like a slogan.
Cost
It
you
needs some kind of
$1,000.
Yeah, there's got to be some
phrase
kind of writing.
or something, hashtag handshake or something.
Handshake Gate. That's what it
There you
should
go.
be. Handshake Gate. Hashtag. Or Doogie's on the take.
Yeah.
That should be it. Doogie's on the take. Something like that. All right, Doogie, you can get creative. I mean, you're $1,000 richer ever since then, and you set it up beautifully. You hooked them up with the easiest games. All the lines mysteriously broke their way, and against us, you jammed up Al's brother, which I found very, very disappointing because Al's brother is a man of integrity. He's a man of sports, right? He's a man of competition,
Sport.
and he's ready to go with picks in about a half an hour. And
I haven't
Luke's
seen him
coming up.
in this building, or is he just at home?
I think he'll just. I'm guessing he's at home. I think Luke's at home because it sucks. We don't have Thursday night football anymore. And I guess we didn't have it last week either. It's been.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
It's already been 2 weeks. But the season's it's over, and we're in the super wild card weekend. And you got coaching changes and turnover and vacancies. It feels like it's going to be a wild offseason, too.
It does.
It just feels like what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers, what happens with the Jets. I'll bet you there's more coaching turnover. What happens with Russell Wilson? Like big names that have been around for a long time. There's this real transition in pro sports where LeBron's still there, but the Lakers aren't great. Steph's still there, but the Warriors aren't that great. Tiger's still kind of kicking
End
around.
of a lot of dynasties.
Yeah, like Sid's around and Ovi's around, but their teams aren't that great. Like it just everything is kind
Big
of
time turnaround, man.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of turnover right now.
It's and yet you look for dynasties. I guess the Chiefs would probably represent that in the NFL
Yep.
as like the next wave of what the Patriots have been. Not that they'll reach the same level of, excellence and consistency, but that would be your representative. In hockey, I don't know who the next, great dynasty is. The last one was Tampa. I don't think we're on the verge of seeing one right now. I don't think Vegas will do that. I
Too
don't
early.
think Colorado will do
Yeah.
that. And then in basketball, there's just a lot of parity in the league right now. There's no
think in
super team.
I think with the salary cap in hockey, to talk about a dynasty, you're talking about what Pitt did in 2016. It's like what Tampa did. You go out and you get a couple, and then you're going to pay the price for it financially, and you're going to start losing guys, and you got to make hay while you can, because it's not like you're going to win 5 cups.
Yeah.
Those days of the Oilers and it's not
No,
happening.
it's not
So
gonna
it's like
happen.
getting a couple. Chicago got 3, LA got 2, Pitt got 2 in 2016, 17. It's like that's the modern day dynasty.
Being
Tampa
able to
got
run it
2.
back once. Yeah, that's kind of where
Yeah.
you cap out right now with the cap.
I think
era.
Vegas is going to have something to say for it. Like I think they could go back to back.
I think they
I wouldn't
can.
shock me if there's a rematch in the final of Florida and Vegas. That Florida team is real deal, man.
They
And
are. That's the thing right
They're
now.
hot
If the
right
playoffs
now.
started tonight, the Leafs are going down to Florida.
That's exactly right.
They still could catch Boston, though. Like Boston, the Panthers are close to Boston.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone gets close to the Bruins, though, they run off like 8 of 9 and separate themselves again. But now Allmark's banged up. And like Vegas is losing. Like they lost 3-0 to Colorado last night. They've lost a lot of games recently.
Yeah, I know. But
Like,
that's
they're-
why they had the start they did. They
Yeah,
started
exactly.
out
They
10
banked
and 1
them.
or something.
Yeah, they bank points.
It's
Exactly.
been a weird
but-
season though. There's been a lot of teams that kind of gone on heaters. Like we got, is it 2 teams that have 8-game win streaks going right now with the Oilers and the Panthers? And
Edmonton does
with the
for
way
sure.
the
And, yeah,
Oilers
Florida.
started, what they're doing now, and then how good Winnipeg's been right now. There's been a lot of weirdness going on this season.
You-
Well, there's going
across
to be
the board.
damage control coming down the stretch because if you have that 8-game heater where on the downside, it might cost you the playoffs.
Yeah.
So whatever team, like if Edmonton goes in the tank for another stretch, it could cost them the playoffs.
It's interesting. You look at the Pacific alone, where there is such a swing. Vancouver's won 3 in a row. Edmonton's won 8 in a row. Seattle's won 7 in a row.
That's wild.
It is. And then the Kings have lost 6 in a row, and Vegas is 3-7 in their last 10. It's like all of a sudden, like Vancouver has a 6-point buffer on the Golden Knights, and they both played 41 games.
I'll give the Oilers a lot of credit, man. They did the impossible.
They
when
clawed back.
when not just clawed back,
They're
like,
in it.
When Johnny comes on and talks about what the numbers are and what they got to do to get back into things, it was a daunting task. It was like that's not a guarantee. And they've gone on 2 separate heaters to put themselves in a wild card spot, I believe.
Yeah, they're in the
And-
second wild card right now.
Yeah, it's like that's incredible stuff because they were dead in the water, man.
Yeah, they were. And
They were 2 or 3 games losing away from being just completely done where it's game over.
it's not a foregone conclusion.
You're right.
They
but,
can't get.
but it's incredible to get where they are.
But I'm saying the other way. It's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to make it. It's also not a foregone conclusion they can't get into the top 3 in the Pacific.
Yeah.
They're only 4 back of LA, and they have 45 games left to play.
Exactly.
Like you can catch LA. All of a sudden, LA has really hit a rut. They've lost 6 in a row. They're really starting to struggle. Vegas again has struggled. Vegas got an 8-point buffer, but Edmonton has 4 games in hand.
and
They-
that Pierre-Luc
they could catch
Dubois
them.
out in L.A., he's got to
Disaster. He's on the 4th line. 4th line. Practicing anyway this week, which takes stones by Todd McClellan.
Good for him.
Yeah,
It's just like
absolutely.
you're not guaranteed anything. You
No.
want to go out and play like that, you play on our 4th line.
Well, that's coming from Rob Blake. That's saying put that guy on the 4th line. I'm sick. I can't look at him.
I don't think Rob Blake would need to tell Todd McClellan that.
I shouldn't say that it's coming from him. What I'm saying is it would be supported.
The support is
That is a GM and an organization that is looking at what Winnipeg is doing right now and what Gabe Velarde's doing and Iafallo's doing and saying, not only did we trade for you, we gave you 8 years at 8.5,
We
and you
stuck
are
our neck
killing
out
us.
for you, and you're killing us right now.
He's been awful, like horrendous. You look at his statistics, it is flabbergasting how much he has fallen off.
Dude, he's got 7 goals and 6 assists or something.
Yeah.
Stupid.
He's a really good player. Like clearly he has not forgotten how to play. We say this all the time about guys in slumps, and it's Like this is. Let me put this in a perspective. This is worse than Jonathan Huberdeau.
I was just going to say, is this worse than Huberdeau?
It is, and I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think it was possible for a new star to show up, get a big ticket, and make a first impression that's worse than Huberdeau. Dubois has done that in L.A.
Well, that kid that pulled that stunt in Philadelphia, now he's in Anaheim, should take note. You want to be a big dog and be a hero and direct traffic on where you're going, you better play because you're going to be under the microscope. Can you imagine if he did that and he was in a market up here or something? He would be getting crushed.
That's the difference. Huberdeau had to do it in Calgary. This guy's doing it in L.A. where, I'm sure it's a talking point in L.A., but
it's not like it is if it were to be in Toronto or in a Canadian market. But, I mean, he's certainly putting some pretty high expectations on himself when he hasn't even played a game yet.
Oh, yeah.
That's tough.
That's Cutter Gauthier. I'm talking about Dubois, but Gauthier as well, for sure. Leafs in New York playing the Islanders, where I guess, Islander fans would say the same thing about Tavares, but he left as a free agent.
Yeah.
Like he didn't guarantee anything.
He was an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, he didn't demand out. It wasn't a sign and trade, which I think, again, is something that probably bothered Islander fans, was that they would have preferred to have traded him and got something in return as opposed to him, walking for nothing.
But I don't think John Tavares during the season told them that. I don't think he went to them in January and said, I'm not coming back, so you might as well trade me. I think it was still up in the air where he wanted to hear everybody out. And
I think that was a large part of the reason why they felt jilted. Their emotions got the best of them down in New York. They don't like him. They're never going to like him.
No.
And they felt
that
like
market will never.
They never will like John Tavares.
I take offense with players being held accountable for stuff like that because organizations will turn their back on players all the time. It drives me crazy.
Waggy, there's no
when
loyalty
fan bases,
either way.
But that's the thing. It drives me crazy when fan bases, they boo players and they hold players accountable for making a business decision when the organizations do that all the time.
Oh,
yes, but the thing is, the team, that's who the fan loves, is the team. So the team, I agree with you. Like that's the thing about this Cutter Gauthier situation is, let's say he stays in Philly and doesn't perform as well as they thought he should. Do you think they're going to hand him a huge contract because he stayed loyal to them when he was 19 years old? Of course
they're
not.
looking for a way to get rid of him.
They'd be like, you stink. We got to get rid of you, or we're going to take you to arbitration. We're not paying you anything.
But it's like fans expecting players to take less money too, for the better of the team. No one in the front office or in the executives or the ownership is taking less money. Why shouldn't a player?
Well, but
there's lots of different situations
the salary
like that.
cap factors into that.
Sure.
I think the argument there is if winning is the top priority, which is a lot of times a part of the lip service, like we just talked about Tom Brady. Tom Brady famously gave money back. Famously gave money back in New England. Said, let's rework my deal, rework the bonuses. I don't need to be the top paid guy in the league. I'm not sure if he was ever at any point in his tenure in New England the highest paid player in the NFL, which is wild considering he's the greatest player ever. And the reason he did that was because he valued winning.
Sure.
And he realized that now you're putting faith in the organization to spend the money properly. And if guys don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. But I do believe the guys that will do it should be saluted for it. And
but I don't hold it.
And they should be loved more by the fans.
I mean, you certainly endear
week.
yourself to the fan base when you make a move like that. But I don't hold it against the guy for not doing that either.
I hear you. Listen, you have one career.
Yeah.
And if you're in your prime, you have one chance to really cash in. And really, where you have to be accountable is you got to keep playing well. You got to give an effort. You got to, perform. If you do that, then money's not going to be a part of the conversation,
But it's just like Los Angeles. They had two young players there that they really liked, and then something better came along, and they were like, we're gassing you two guys. We're bringing in this guy. That's just the way it works.
Velarde was a top 10 pick, and they found someone else they liked more, and they traded him.
That's exactly. There's no loyalty either way, man. That's why players, when they get the chance, they're going to take the most money. That's why a guy like William Nylander said, no, that's my number, and you're going to pay it to me, because they can just say, we hate your guts in any second. That's why players always take the most money.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're afforded that luxury and you're talented enough.
Now, again, sometimes the reason they don't like you is because you have a no trade and no move. They can't.
Look at Let It Ride out there in Denver. They loved that. They loved signing that guy, didn't they?
Oh, God.
They love Let It Ride out there, old Russ Wilson.
Yep.
And now, 2 years later, they hate his God.
No one's riding in Denver right now.
Yep. They cannot.
They're gassing him, right? Like they're going to, what?
Oh, yeah, he's done. He'll be cut, I believe. Like they're just going to bite the bullet and cut him.
I guess at this
Like
point,
you can't
they
bring
kinda
him
have
back.
to.
You just with all the animosity, the allegations that they went to him and said if you don't restructure your contract,
You can't
we'll
bring that
bench
guy
you.
back into the locker room, man.
No, he's done.
No way.
Yeah, Sean Payton's turned on him. The team's turned on him. He's got to go. No question. All right, Leafs Islanders tonight. We'll continue to tee that up. Luke Wilson coming up. Kara's in here. The O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill. I'm Brian Hayes. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. Overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. A lot of positive feedback from my new profile picture that I'll be using, courtesy of
Did you change it already?
JNSC. I haven't changed it on Twitter. I posted on Instagram. It's up there on Twitter at Overdrive 1050. And, yeah, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, so that's great. People are very nice online. They always are.
Yeah,
Always
it's
very,
not a
very
cesspool
positive.
online at all.
Very, very positive people, which is great. You see your boy Minwoo Lee is signing an apparel deal with Lululemon.
I'm telling you, Minwoo Lee's going to win a major this year.
And I don't see it. What major? He was in. No, that was at
he
the
won-
Players. The Players. Wasn't he in the league going in on Sunday this year?
He might have been, but he almost went back-to-back in Australia. He won 2 massive tournaments. There was almost the Australian Masters, which I think he won, and then there was one the next week where he was right in the hunt. Minwoo Lee wins a major.
That's a statement.
Wow.
I'm telling you, if I asked Bobby Weeks, do you think Minwoo Lee wins a major this year? He'd text back yes.
No, Bob Weeks wouldn't do that. Bob's in Hawaii anyway, I think.
Yeah, our
Bob,
golf. They might
What
be
a-
back now, but yeah, they were enjoying themselves in Hawaii.
I saw him and Scully posting pictures.
Yeah.
And
In
Zucchino.
Hawaii?
Out there.
Yeah, they went to Kapalua. They're playing the Kapalua Pro-Am and stuff, like with Adidas, and
Yeah.
they're playing the QI10. Like they are dialed in out
Wanted
there,
to
man.
throw up in my mouth a little bit when I
Yeah,
saw
I
those
was like,
photos.
that looks pretty nice out there in Hawaii.
Not bad.
Minwoo Lee, he's a really good player. I think using the Australian Masters, that's not gonna make it for me as
Dude,
like
it was
enough.
an incredible field.
He played
Cam
great.
Smith was in there. Adam Scott. Like, it was
Yeah,
a
the
loaded
Australian
field.
guys were in it. Who else was in it?
Dude, don't start critiquing. I'll throw down. Give me the odds on Minwoo Lee winning a major this year.
Yeah. Reach out to FanDuel, see if they can put a line on Minwoo Lee
Winning a major.
winning a major. You want to throw the Players in there for a fifth? Because I'm pretty sure he was in the league going into Sunday at the Players.
He was in the final group, I think, with Scotty Scheffler or whoever won.
Because remember, his sister, I think, won that weekend too. I believe.
Minjee Lee.
Yeah, Minjee Lee, I think, either won that weekend or the week after. And it was like, wow, the Lee family is like taking over the golf world. But yeah, Minwoo rocking Lulus. He's always got the Oakley shades. He loves a mock turtle.
Kara, what do you think Tiger's going to be rocking?
So here's what I don't understand: is everyone saying like, "Oh, it'll be so sad not to see Tiger in red on Sunday." Why couldn't he still wear red?
He's going to be wearing red on Sunday. It's just going to be.
That's what I didn't. I was like, well, there's rumors out there he's coming out with his own line, so he's going to be rocking. He's a mogul. He'll come out with his own clothing line, and he'll be rocking that little Tiger logo or something.
I think he's just going to be wearing TaylorMade stuff.
You think so?
Yeah,
No, I
TaylorMade.
think he's got something cooking. Why else is he going to leave Nike after that long of a partnership?
Yeah, something's up, obviously. Like, unless Nike decided we don't want to continue the relationship, which I can't understand.
I don't think
Like,
so.
unless they're getting out of golf or they feel they just need to turn the page and they've given him so much money and they got everything they possibly could out of him.
The bottom line is they're not getting out of golf right now. I watched golf in Dubai this morning. Rory McIlroy's walking around, Tommy Fleetwood in Nike. Why they would tell Tiger Woods to take the gear off and that's it is beyond
It doesn't
me.
make sense. He still moves the needle
No
so much,
kidding.
even though he's barely playing.
Once a month. He only
Yeah.
plays once a month, Harley, but you want to see that guy with the swoosh on.
Yeah. No, I hear it.
Someone was doctoring up Tiger wearing like a Kirkland logo as though he's going to get sponsored by Costco. I was like, that's the best thing on the internet.
I need to see that happen. If he starts wheeling out Kirkland like blades,
Hitting the
and-
Kirkland balls.
Yeah, just that'll
Oh, man.
that'll be different. But yeah, TaylorMade. I mean, they have cool clothing and stuff. Like they usually work with an apparel company though. Like they've done stuff with G4 before. I feel like. Yeah, I don't know.
I
But
feel like there's a Tiger brand coming. Adam Scully also just messaged me and said they are back in Canadian soil.
oh,
so
that's great.
Tuning
Well, it's
into
good to hear.
OverDrive. Big shout out. Hope you did not enjoy
Praying for
Hawaii
you
at all.
guys. Hope everything was
Yeah.
okay in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I hope you guys had safe travels and no
Someone
delays.
got food
or-
poisoning.
Yeah, and everyone
You
got
know.
their clubs back.
Right.
and yeah, we're pulling for
The
you.
head wasn't busted off your driver.
Well, it looked cool. Like I saw again, Scully posted like stand up. He's sitting there with Colin Morikawa doing stuff, and
Nick Taylor was
Nick
down
Taylor
there.
was
Yeah.
doing stuff. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the Adidas, I think they were down there doing stuff with Adidas. And like Adidas got a lot of people on tour, clearly. And you get in there, you start connecting, boom. Get some good one-on-ones, like on the course,
We
one-on-ones.
have some work to do as we
Yeah.
sit here in studio with
Well,
really crappy weather outside.
That's why I got the filters and everything. I'm trying to work on my profile
Throw
here,
some
Kara.
more filters.
I'm trying to make sure I'm moving in the right direction.
Get yourself to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, the Leafs are back in action tonight. I guess the Keith Pelley announcement became official today. I don't think he's coming on until April, I believe it is, right? He's officially going to take the job. But I think a lot of people are wondering, like, will he have a Tim Lewicki approach, or will he have?
I think he's going to be really hands-on and
what does that
front
mean
and
for
center.
the Leafs and the Raptors and Toronto FC and the Argos?
we're going to see. I mean, I have nothing to go on other than gut feelings, but I feel like we're going to see a lot of changing. A lot of changes coming, interesting things in the coming months.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on, like, I don't know how much autonomy the job is going to have. Like, obviously, Keith is going to have bosses like Bell and Rogers and Tannenbaum. And
That's what I asked. I saw Bobby Mack downstairs. I'm like, what exactly is the role? Like, what is the role? Like,
right.
Is it about it? Like, MLSE is not just about sports. Like, it's a complex position.
Exactly. Like, they own real estate, marketing, there's legalese, that, like, there's a lot of different things that they're involved in, merchandising, all that kind of stuff. That is not specifically, did you win tonight or lose tonight, or what are you paying that player, or who is this person that's employed for us? But when Lewicki got here, he had a direct impact on, like, personnel. Like, I'm firing people, I'm hiring people, but the teams were in a very different position at that point. And they didn't have, like, long-standing kind of pillars of each respective organization, like Masai Ujiri, like Brendan Shanahan. Bill Manning's been here for quite some time.
Oh, yeah,
fair.
he looked at that soccer team and said, we're going out to get some of the best players in the world, and it's going to turn around.
Exactly. It was almost like he was personally like, I'm getting Jermaine Defoe myself. Yeah. Like, I'll fly over there and get him. I don't know if Keith Pelley's going to have the same approach. I mean, he's obviously not the same person. But I've often wondered, like, if Lewicki was still here, would all of these people still be employed? Or would the teams look the same? Would they have a different approach? Would there be a different urgency? The Raptors won their title, obviously, so it might be a different approach there. But, with the Maple Leafs, with Lewicki, it was like, we're going to win, we're going to get this right. And they've done a lot of winning. The regular season resume speaks for itself. It's been an unbelievable run. Raptors have been really good. Toronto FC had one of the great runs in MLS history. But now, like, MLS, like, I would say Toronto FC is the most extreme. Like, they are a mess.
They're a mess.
But John Herdman coming on, that would probably be a Lewicki move. Like, let's go get a big name, a big profile. I don't know.
You just don't bring in a name like Keith Pelley unless you're making moves. Moving and shaking. You know what I mean? If you want to just keep it copacetic and keep trucking, that doesn't scream Keith Pelley to me.
Yeah. And he's familiar with both parent companies,
Yep.
Very well. And, he's worked in sports for a long time. The European tour, he was working with the Argos for a long time. Yeah. And he's a familiar name. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But, like, that's a big job. You talk about the Canadian sports landscape, the president and CEO of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment.
That's a big-time gig, man.
Yeah.
Big-time gig in terms of profile and access and responsibility.
But why is no one had it long-term? Why has it been a short-term gig?
I feel
Is
like
it
that
just-
happens when you get
question.
to the really upper echelons of executive roles like that. They just kind of turn over. There's a small pool of executives that kind of shift brands and shift roles, but small pool, but a lot of turnover from time to time.
Yeah. Maybe it just wears you out.
Yeah.
And you're working for there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen. And I'm sure it's also, the owners of all these organizations, they also are looking for change a lot too, right? Like, different eyes, different ears, different approach. Yeah, I'm curious to see what he brings to the table, and what it actually means for the sports teams, because everything else is not relevant in the market. No one cares about what they're doing with real estate, what they're doing with their restaurants and all that kind of stuff. It's how closely affiliated will he be with what happens with the teams on a daily basis? And I guess we won't have that answer until April. Raptors coming off a loss last night. Darko was fined $25,000. I appreciated that before the game yesterday, he did not change his stance either. He wasn't as fiery, but he's like, I
Sure.
still stand by everything I said.
No,
I
I
support
think-
my guys.
He didn't
and-
repeat
Scotty
it. Though.
Barnes,
No,
who's all-star.
he didn't say. He did not repeat it.
Is there any chance he actually pays a dime of that $25,000?
I
Like
I think
someone's paying in the
Masai
sense that
might-
someone's paying that for him. Like
if it's allowed, I think Messiah probably would cover that and be like,
yeah. I don't know how much the leagues even enforce the fining. Like, how much is it just a public gesture?
I think they're taking the money. I don't think they care who pays it. Maybe Drake's throwing.
you actually
10 Gs
think they're
in
going to
there.
find people and say, don't worry about it, don't worry about paying this?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, we'll take it, and if you're a good guy for a while, you can.
It's like the last 2-minute report.
You can have
We
it
know it was
back
wrong,
or-
but we're not actually
Yeah.
going to change anything because of it.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably different with players because of the CBA, but like team employees, like coaches and stuff, I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if they didn't actually enforce.
I've never heard anyone insinuate that before. This is a wild take for me.
There's my take.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, Luke Wilson coming up. Picks this upcoming weekend. Al's brother will be lurking in the background. We'll have it for you. Bill Belichick out in New England. What does Luke make of it? We'll get to that next.